morning. My name is Amber Kromah. I am a certified physician assistant. I currently work in an emergency room. I am also a culinary medicine specialist, and I am a doctor of medical science candidate. Um, Also, I am the co-owner of KromahFit Meals, LLC, which is a meal prep company for healthy eating. So healthy eating is very, very important to me. It's part of my lifestyle, and I'm very passionate about it. So this is my presentation on eating to live, how to eat yourself to health. So there are a few main components of all foods. We have carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Those are considered the macronutrients. Then you have vitamins and minerals, as well as water. Water is in pretty much everything. So for carbohydrates, I have a question. Which of these is primarily a carbohydrate? Broccoli, bread, Swiss cheese, or eggs?
I'm gonna go with bread.
Yes. Yes, you are correct. So bread is primarily a carbohydrate. So for carbohydrates, they provide the body with glucose, and glucose is just a fancy word for sugar. The body needs sugar in order to function. So it supports bodily functions and physical activity, and it's composed of sugars, fibers, and starches. So there are different types of carbohydrates. We have complex carbohydrates, which are healthier. If you think about it being literally complex, they are more difficult to break down. So it's whole wheat, whole grain bread, oats, brown rice, barley, and quinoa. These are the complex carbs that are healthier because they take the body a longer time to digest. Simple carbs are not as healthy. This white bread, white rice, chips, fries, and sweets. Sweets like donuts, which I love, but are not good for you because the simple carbohydrates easily break down into sugars, which raises the blood sugar level, which is part of the reason why a lot of people have diabetes. And it's also the reason why, some other diseases might happen, such as heart disease. So we want to kind of stay away from the simple sugars and eat more of the complex sugars. So there are some tips for adding healthy carbs to your diets. Start the day with whole grains. By whole grains, I mean whole grain cereals, whole grain breads for toast. Look for whatever you're eating, look for whole grain to be the first ingredient on the nutrition facts and on the ingredient list. That will lead you to see that whole grains are 100% in that food. Use whole grain breads for sandwiches. Now, I know a lot of us grew up on Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread is straight white bread. It is a simplex carbohydrate. It is a simple carbohydrate. So you want to try to use whole grain breads for sandwiches. As an adult, I think it tastes a little better. And then, of course, it's adding in more of the whole grains. Swap bread for brown rice and quinoa. So instead of just eating bread, because bread has a lot of carbs and it also has a lot of sodium, which is basically salt, you can switch it for brown rice. And brown rice is going to also add in those complex whole grains. Then we also suggesting eating whole fruit instead of drinking juice. Now, I know children love juice, love juice, but eating an actual apple or an actual orange is much healthier than drinking orange juice or apple juice. As a matter of fact, eating a whole orange has double the fiber and a lot less sugar than drinking the juice. Choose beans instead of potatoes. So black beans, lentil beans, mostly legumes, which would include black beans, lentils, garbanzo beans, black-eyed peas. All of those types of beans are going to add in healthy carbs as well as fiber to your diet instead of just eating potatoes. If you're going to do a potato, it's best to do it baked or oven roasted, not fried. Mashed is okay, but when you do mash, a lot of times you add in heavy cream or butter to it, some salt. So it's best to just try to do a baked potato with a little bit of olive oil and a tiny bit of salt, and you're good to go. Protein. So question, which of these are examples of proteins?
I'm gonna go with that juicy looking steak. Is that steak at the bottom?
I'm sorry?
Is that steak at the bottom?
Yes, definitely. It looks like a ribeye steak, actually. Yes. And there's also two more options. I kind of gave it away. So steak is, of course, the primarily the protein that we all know is the animal protein, but also spinach up at the top is made of 49% of protein. So 49% of spinach is protein. So it's a great, it's a great option for vegans, for people on plant-based diets, vegetarians. Spinach is a great protein option that is not an actual animal protein. Then at the bottom right, you have a fruit and yogurt parfait. Now in that parfait, it looks to be oats, which is going to add in the healthy carbs. But if you're doing the yogurt with Greek yogurt has amazing amount of protein. I know the yogurt that I used to eat had about 12 grams of protein in it. So yogurt is also a good source of protein if you don't want to actually eat meat. Of course, the donut, which is one of my favorite treats, is not protein at all. So protein is found throughout the body in muscle, bone, skin, and hair. It's pretty much in all bodily tissues. Protein is involved in enzymes for chemical reactions that are occurring in the body. It also makes up the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin in your blood carries oxygen in your blood. So if you've ever been told that you're anemic, it's likely because your hemoglobin number in your blood is a little low. And you can increase that by eating more protein or adding iron supplements to your diet. Protein makes up amino acids. Now, for amino acids, there are several amino acids, but 9 of these amino acids are not developed in the body. They must be eaten by food. So that's part of what protein is. It's recommended that each person eat 7 grams of protein per 20 pounds of body weight. So basically, you could just do the calculation yourself. I believe, if I can remember correctly, for a 200-pound person, it's recommended that they eat 70 grams of protein each day. So these are the different types of proteins. You have animal proteins that includes chicken, steak, fish, turkey, pork, dairy, beef, seafood of all types. That's animal protein, which is, most widely known. Then you have plant-based protein for our vegetarians and our plant-based vegans, which includes some vegetables, and legumes, which are beans and lentils. Those beans include the garbanzo beans, black-eyed peas, lentils, beans, peas, kidney beans, any kind of bean. So I have this picture on the side. This is one of my favorite and least favorite at the same time pictures. It's just basically breaking down the nutrition in the different parts of chicken. Now, I love a wing, okay? I live for an Old Bay wing, a little bit of honey on it. I love a wing. I also love a thigh. I remember growing up, we used to always go to Popeyes, and I always wanted dark meat because I love the thigh. But those are not the healthiest parts of chicken. The best cut of chicken that you can eat that is going to be in low fats as well as low cholesterol is going to be the chicken breast. The chicken breast, when you do it skinless and boneless, it's going to give 110 calories, 1.5 grams of fat, no carbs, and 23 grams of protein. The protein intake in 4 ounces of chicken is pretty much the same across the board for the breast, the thigh, the wing, and the drumstick. The issue is the amount of fat based on if it has fat in the meat and if it has fat on the skin. So the thigh, my second favorite, has 170 calories and 8 grams of fat. The wing, and that's if it's skinless. If it has the skin on, you have 10 grams of fat. For the wing, who takes the skin off of the wing? That's probably the best part of the wing, right? So for the skin on, 4 ounces of wings, which is probably one whole wing, is going to be 210 calories and 14 grams of fat. If you compare that to the breast, you're doubling the calories and that's almost 14 times the amount of fat. So choosing the best leaner cuts of chicken is important. And that's for any meat, honestly. So that's why it's my favorite and least favorite because it holds me accountable and it definitely checks me. So these are some tips for adding healthy proteins to your diet. Eating vegetables that are high in protein. Remember, I said spinach is 49% protein. Other high protein vegetables include edamame, I believe peas. Peas are an amazing source of protein. Broccoli has a lot of protein in it. So adding vegetables that are high in protein is a great way of adding healthy proteins to your diet. Choosing lean cuts of unprocessed meat. So processed meats are not that great for you because they typically are high in fat. They're typically high in sodium, which is the salt. Those include bacon. I know we love some bacon with breakfast, but we got to eat that sparingly. Bacon, hot dogs, sausages. You want to kind of stay away from those. Yes, they do have a great source of protein, or yes, they are a source of protein, not necessarily a great one, but they're not as healthy as unprocessed meat, like just a chicken breast or, a ground turkey. So choosing lean cuts of unprocessed meat is a great way for adding healthy proteins to your diet. Incorporating nuts such as almonds, peanuts, pistachios, as well as Greek yogurt as snack options. Remember, I said Greek yogurt has about 12 grams of protein. You can probably find some other Greek yogurts that have even more protein. Just be careful with the Greek yogurt because when they start adding in fruit, it typically adds in sugar. So you want to try to choose a Greek yogurt that is low in sugar, but high in protein. Adding in protein shakes. So they have protein shakes that are usually from whey protein, WHEY protein that a lot of athletes use. I typically prefer plant-based proteins, protein powders, because they are made from vegetables. So this picture is my favorite protein powder that I've ever tried. It's called Only What You Need. It's not a sponsored ad, but it's my favorite. So it has 20 grams of protein in one serving. This is a smooth vanilla flavor. So what I do is I just take 2 scoops of this with some oat milk and then shake it. And that can be like a snack, or sometimes I even skip lunch and just drink the protein shake. I love this protein powder because it also has 1 billion CFU, or like units of probiotics. And probiotics are amazing for helping your digestive system. They keep you pooping. So, making sure you're not constipated. So eating or drinking this protein powder is great. I believe this protein powder also has some of those amino acids that I was saying that we need because they're essential for the body, since the bodies can't make them themselves. So this protein powder is good for that as well. And then swapping meat for salmon. So if you swap like chicken for a fish, it's a great way of changing something that is fattier to something that's leaner. A lot of fish is lean and not like a fatty fish. Of course, salmon is a fatty fish, but salmon has good fat. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But swapping, like basically having meatless days and then instead eating the vegetables that are high in protein, or swapping it for fish, great ways of changing something that's possibly unhealthy to healthy and keeping the protein in your diet. Next, we have fats. So question, and this is kind of like a multiple choice question. Which of these are considered healthy fats?
I'm not sure, but I'm
Okay.
gonna guess.
Yes.
I'm gonna say the avocado and
Mhm.
the olive oil.
Beautiful answers. Great answers. Also, salmon. Remember, I said salmon is a fatty fish. So, salmon has good fat in it. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yes, avocado has great fat. It has omega 3s, which are great for the heart. And so does the salmon. Omega 3s, great for the heart. And then avocado is a good fat because if you can see the butter. So, I just want to do a comparison. Look at the butter and how, maybe at room temperature is still a solid, right? But the olive oil is not a solid, it's a liquid at room temperature. I'm taking y'all back to like elementary school science. So if you think about it, butter's a solid at room temperature, whereas the oil is a liquid at room temperature. In your body is obviously higher than room temperature, right? But that butter is still more of a solid in your body than the oil is. So it's going to get stuck and start creating like sludge, if you will, in your vessels. That's how heart attacks happen from your heart, the vessels that supply your heart are becoming kind of congested with fats and technically blood clots as well, but that's a whole nother story. But the lower the least amount of butter that you can eat, the better. If you can swap the butter for olive oil, you're good to go. So fat, this is a lot of information and I won't go deep. I promise. Fat is a good source of energy. Fat is actually is more energy dense than both carbohydrates and proteins. And that's why fat typically stays on our bodies. Our body can store the fat and then use it with energy reserves. So like if you're trying to lose weight, it's best to try to burn the fat because the fat can supply your body with way more energy than both carbohydrates and protein can. Fat makes up the cellular membranes as structures called lipids, and the lipids are on the outsides of your cells, of every cell in your body. So you need fat to help maintain those cellular membranes. The brain is 60% fat. Can you believe that? 60% fat. DHA is a major brain fatty acid. And I know for babies, they always suggest, supplementing their diet with DHA. A lot of baby formulas already have DHA in the supplement, and because it's necessary for brain functioning. Fat makes up fat soluble vitamin, or fat is involved in the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. They need fat in order to be digested by the body. Then you have polyunsaturated fats, LA and ALA, which you don't need to worry about too much. Just understand that polyunsaturated fats are good. Then you have cholesterol. Cholesterol is a type of fat. It's more so helping hormones, but it helps keep the cell membrane that fat is involved in, helps keep it fluid because you don't want it to be just stiff. Then stuff can't get in and out of the cell. So it helps keep the cell membrane fluid and permeable so that, stuff that needs to come in and out of the cell is able to. Cholesterol helps make vitamin D, which is good for bones, hormones, and bile salts. Excuse me. So yeah, bile salts help break down fat, and cholesterol is needed to help make bile salts. And then you have LDL and HDL that carries cholesterol in the blood. Now, really quick, if your doctor tells you that you have high cholesterol and they place you on a medication, the high cholesterol is usually total cholesterol, but you can also have high cholesterol if you have high LDL. So think of LDL as lethal, L lethal, and then think of HDL as healthy, H healthy. So the HDL is the number of cholesterol that you want to be higher. And then the LDL is the number that you want to be lower. So just be mindful of that. If your doctor ever tells you have high cholesterol, you want it to go down because cholesterol also is going to help that bad fat stay in those vessels. So you want to keep your cholesterol down. So there's different types of fat. You have total fat. If you look on the back of packaged foods, there's a nutrition label with nutrition facts. They usually have total fat, and the total fat is broken down into saturated, trans, and unsaturated fats. Saturated fats, you think about it being saturated as in like full. So that's going to be like your butter. It's going to basically be more of the unhealthy fats. Then you have trans fats, which are usually not in foods anymore because they are very, very unhealthy. They're even more unhealthy than saturated fats. Then you have unsaturated fats, which are what's in the oils. So you have mono, which means one, and poly, which means more than one of the unsaturated fats. And then you have the cholesterol that we just talked about. So this is just a breakdown of the different types of fats in actual food form so that it's more relatable, because I know that it's really confusing when you're just hearing trans fat, saturated fat, unsaturated fat. So I want to break this down just so that you understand. The trans fat is the worst type of fat to eat. It's hydrogenated vegetable oils, fast foods like McDonald's, Wendy's, Popeyes, Chick-fil-A. It's in cakes and pastries. I love cake. I love donuts, but we got to stay away from it. It's in chocolate and deep fried foods. That fried chicken and fried wings that I love, got to stay away from it because it has trans fats. Then you have saturated fats. So when you think of saturated fats, mostly you think of animal fats. So poultry skin, the skin on chicken, skin on the chicken thighs, fatty meats like some steaks, butter, ghee, which is basically butter without the milk cream, lard, which is like Crisco that my grandma used to cook with, full cream dairy products, so like whole milk. So those are the animal saturated fats. Then you have the vegetable saturated fats. Now, I know that coconut oil is like a big thing now. It's really not healthy though, honestly, if you are eating it, because it's still high in saturated fats. It is not an animal saturated fat, but it's still a saturated fat that's going to, clog those arteries. So you want to kind of stay away from it. Palm oil, which is used in some ethnic foods, 3-in-1 and 2-in-1 beverages and creamers. Like if you think of heavy cream, heavy whipping cream, that's in Alfredo. I love Alfredo, but it does not love us, okay? And then condensed milk, which is like in the can that you make some desserts with. So those are saturated fats. You want to kind of stay away from saturated and definitely stay away from trans fats. Then you have the unsaturated fats, which are the healthy fats. Polyunsaturated includes the corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, seeds, and fish. Then you have monounsaturated fats, olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, sesame oil, avocados, and most nuts. So nuts are high in fat, but they're high in unsaturated fats, which are good for you. Then we have fiber. Fiber is a type of carbohydrate that the body is not able to digest, and it helps regulate the body's use of sugar. So it's good for people who are diabetics and trying to regulate their blood sugar. The human body needs at least 20 to 30 grams of fiber every single day. But according to research, we only get about 15, maybe even less than 15. So it's really important to keep your fiber intake up. Without fiber, that's how constipation happens. So fiber is important to keep you going regularly, to flush your body out of all of the waste. There's two different varieties. You have soluble and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber is able to help with the digestion. Well, both help with digestion. The different examples of soluble fiber include oatmeal, nuts, beans, lentils, apples, and blueberries. Apples with the skin. You always want to try to keep the skin on the apples. I know that a lot of times, like even my kids will not eat an apple with the skin on. And even when I was a child, I didn't. But as an adult, you want to try to keep the skin on the apple. Also try to keep the skin on potatoes as well, because the potato skin has fiber in it as well. Then you have insoluble fiber, which includes wheat, whole grains, brown rice, legumes, carrots, and cucumbers, as well as tomatoes. So this is another schematic. I love pictures because I'm a visual learner. The soluble fiber attracts water and turns it into gel, and it helps to slow down digestion so that the body can actually absorb the nutrients better. Soluble fibers also help lower the blood cholesterol. So we want cholesterol to be low, remember, because we don't want that sludge in our vessels. Then you have insoluble fiber that's made of non-soluble cellulose, which is kind of like a protein in a sense. It speeds food through digestive tract so that you can help prevent constipation. So this is how you are able to keep going to the bathroom and not be constipated. Both fibers, soluble and insoluble, pass through the body without elevating blood glucose, and they aid blood glucose control and insulin response, which is really amazing for diabetics. So diabetics, if you are a diabetic, you want to try to increase your fiber intake as much as possible because it's going to help the food pass through the body without raising your blood sugar. Tips for increasing fiber. Eating whole fruits instead of drinking fruit juices. Remember earlier I said that one orange, if you eat a whole orange, it's going to double the fiber of actual orange juice, as well as decrease sugar. So you want to eat whole fruits instead of drinking fruit juice. The same with apple juice. Replace white bread, white pasta, white rice with brown rice and whole grain products. That multi-grain bread is an excellent substitution for white bread. For breakfast, you want to choose cereals that have a whole grain as their first ingredient. So when you're looking on the back, it's going to say flour. You want it to try to say whole grain flour, a whole wheat flour. Snack on raw vegetables instead of chips, crackers, or chocolate bars. Now, this one is difficult for me because I don't really like to eat raw vegetables, but I have found that my favorite raw vegetable to eat is mini sweet peppers. They are not very sweet, but they are very healthy for you, and they're delicious in my opinion. So snacking on the sweet peppers instead of a bag of chips is going to increase your fiber intake. Also, substituting beans or legumes for meat 2 to 3 times per week in something like chili and soup. So you can make a 3-bean chili that has like black beans, pinto beans, and red kidney beans instead of using ground beef or ground turkey. You can still season it the same way. And I mean, obviously the texture won't be the same, but hopefully it'll still taste the same and it'll still give you that chili flavor. And then also just substituting beans or legumes or those high protein vegetables for meat with a lot of meals. So instead of having like a piece of chicken with rice and a vegetable, you could do rice and beans with 2 vegetables. And now you have increased your fiber intake by adding in beans. You've also kept your protein about the same by adding in the beans that have protein as well as the high protein vegetable. Vitamins and minerals. So vitamins are organic molecules, and they are either fat or water soluble. The fat soluble vitamins are the ones that accumulate in the body because obviously we have fat that accumulates in our bodies. Vitamins A, D, E, and K. Water-soluble vitamins are unable to be stored. So these are the vitamins that if they're in excess in the body, they're not going to accumulate, they're not going to be stored. You're just going to pee them out. And these are vitamins C, B6, B12, and folate. Then you have minerals. Minerals are inorganic. And so you have sodium. Sodium helps regulate blood pressure and fluid balance. So remember I was saying, or I might have said earlier, sodium, you think of it as salt. Salt, if you have too much of it, it's going to raise your blood pressure. And that's how people end up getting high blood pressure. So you want to kind of decrease the amount of sodium that you intake. Potassium maintains the fluid outside of cells, and it helps with muscle contraction. It aids in like your heart and keeping your heart rhythm intact, along with calcium. Foods that are high in potassium are bananas and avocados. Avocados have a lot of potassium. Avocados have a lot of potassium in them. Then you have calcium, which are used in bone and teeth. They're also used for blood clotting and normalizing heart rhythms. And then you have trace minerals, which are very, very small, copper, iodine, and zinc. Water is my favorite because you need water. You can, live without food for a few days. You cannot live without water. Water has so many different functions. It protects tissues, joints, and the spinal cord, and it actually acts as a lubricant in your body, in the joints. And there's joints in your spinal cord. So, being able to like bend your back, that's protected by water lubricating those joints in between the spinal, the vertebrae in your spinal cord. And then also knees, elbows, anywhere you have a joint, water is going to help lubricate that joint. Water helps remove waste because it helps aid digestion. So removing waste in sweat, in pee, it helps to remove those toxins. And then it aids in digestion because it helps your digestive system keep moving. So it helps you not to become constipated, prevents dehydration, and protects brain function. Now, if you've ever been dehydrated, you might have like memory loss or a little bit of confusion. So just drink some water. Also, something that I have noticed is that when I don't have a lot of water, I get a headache. So drinking some water can help with that headache. Sometimes, of course, the headache can be caused from other things, or it could just be a headache. But if you ever have a headache, think to yourself, how much water have I drank today? Only 1 cup. Let me go drink 2 cups of water and see how I feel after that. And you might be surprised that you feel a little better. So these are some specific examples of daily diets that you can, use. For breakfast, you can eat whole grain toast, oatmeal, fruit and yogurt parfaits, smoothies. Just be careful about the sugar that you're adding when you have the fruit and yogurt parfait and the smoothie, also with the oatmeal. For lunch, grilled chicken salad, so like literally grilled chicken on top of a salad, tuna salad wrap, black bean burger, turkey burger, all great options for lunch. For dinner, sirloin with roasted potatoes and asparagus, spaghetti with turkey meatballs. You can use beef if you want. I just prefer turkey. And then for snacks, protein shake, fruit, and raw veggies. So like I mentioned earlier, I co-own a meal prep company. And I think meal prepping is an amazing way of making sure you stay on track with your nutrition goals. So these are 8 reasons why you should meal prep. It saves you time. If you think about it, if I do all of my cooking for the whole week on Sunday, I don't have to cook during the week. Now in the evenings, I have time to do other things like help my kids with their homework, do my own homework since I'm still a student, watch TV, you have time to do other things in your evening instead of just cooking. It saves you money because you're not forced to, on a day-to-day basis, what am I going to eat? Let me order some DoorDash. So it saves you money because you already have your food there. Reducing stress, the stress of thinking about what am I going to eat on a day-to-day basis. You already have your food. The meals are already prepped. They're already in their containers. All you have to do is grab it and go. It reduces food waste because if you plan your meal and you plan what you're going to buy from the grocery store, now you're not just buying stuff just to be buying stuff. You're sticking to your list and you're buying what you need to help your meal prep for the week. So hopefully you'll waste less food because you'll be eating all of it. You're eating healthier. I mean, that's probably number one, because you have planned your meals and you're not eating out. You're not eating up fast food that has high in trans fat. And you're not eating food from restaurants that's high in sodium. You're eating healthier foods because you know exactly what's in your food. You were the one who cooked it. You are eating a variety of meals. Now, when I meal prep, I can eat the same meal over and over and over again, whereas someone like my husband needs a variety. So you can make smaller portions of meals, but then make different types of meals. So now you have something different for lunch and different for dinner each day. And so therefore you're getting a variety of meals. It structures shopping trips. If you plan the meal ahead of, or plan the meals that you're going to have for the week ahead of time, and then you write a list of what you're going to buy from the grocery store to coincide with those meals, now you're structured your shopping trip and you're not wasting time and buying stuff unnecessarily because you know exactly what you need to get based on your list. And then you're eating the right amount of nutrients. Some people calculate their macros, which is a great thing to do for nutrition. I personally don't. I don't really have the time to, and I just don't really want to. But if you do calculate your macros on a day-to-day basis, now you're planning your meals for the entire day based off of the macros that your body needs. So now you're eating the right amount of nutrients. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of information.
A lot of information.
A lot of information.
So much.
It's good stuff. I like how you talked about just the idea that it challenges you, right? When you know this information, it causes you to, or should cause you to pick out different foods differently, be intentional about what you're eating. And I like how you have on here, it can like reduce stress with like meal prepping, but also, you know, just in general, having a healthy diet has an impact on your mental health as well. You think about, you know, your physical health and the impact that that can have, adding additional stress and things like that. So thankful for this presentation and all the information. Do have a few questions. I know you talked about water and how important water is. Nowadays, I feel like they have so many different types of water, like soda water, mineral water, all these other things. I guess, you know, the question I have is when you talk about water, drinking water to be able to do these things that you're talking about for our bodies, does it matter which type of water? Can it be any of those different types, or is it just plain old water is what we need?
You know what? That is an excellent question. And I'll be honest, I don't know the answer to that question. I will say that I am an advocate of just plain old straight water. So I just like regular water. Now, I know that water with added electrolytes is great, especially for someone who's prone to dehydration and just prone to sweating in general. So if you think about it, when you sweat, you're sweating out not only water, but you're also sweating out electrolytes, electrolytes like that sodium, like the chloride. So when you can replace those electrolytes, a lot of athletes drink Gatorade, right? But Gatorade is high in sugar. So I like to stay away from Gatorade. And if you can find a water that has added electrolytes, you're good to go, because now you're replacing water and electrolytes that you're losing out in the perspiration. As for the waters that have like flavors to them and carbonation, in my mind, it's like drinking a soda. So I don't know, maybe it's okay, but I just prefer regular straight water. And then you also have water nowadays that's alkaline water. So more of like a higher pH, which I've heard is really good for you. I haven't done the research myself. I have tasted the water, and to me, it tastes the same. So, I mean, that would require, I guess, a little more research, but I've heard that the alkaline water has a lot of benefits for your body, you know, than just regular water, but definitely water with added electrolytes and alkaline water. I can't really speak for like sparkling water and soda water and the carbonated types of water. It's just, to me, they're giving too much soda. Like they're giving soda to me.
Okay. Thank you. I know that kind of caught you off guard, but that was just something I was thinking about as you were talking. The other question is, how can people, you said that you have a meal prepping company. How can people get access to that? How can they, you know, take a part in supporting you and your business, as well as supporting themselves and being able to save even more time by not having to do the meal prepping themselves?
And you know what? Now that I think about it, I should have definitely made a slide with, our company. So our company is called KromahFit Meals, KromahFit Meals. And the website is kromahfit.com. And what we do is every week we come up with a set menu of 4 meals, a soup, and a salad option. So technically 6 things to choose from. We also have breakfast options that you can choose from. And what you would do is you would choose a meal package. So we have a 7 meal package, 10 meal package, 14 and 20. And what you can do is you order that meal package, and then you choose which meals you want to have in that package. And then you pick it up over the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. You pick it up, or we can deliver it to you. And this way you don't have to you're saving time, you're saving money because you're not buying food out. You're just paying for the food this one time. You don't have to cook it yourself. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You don't have to clean up your kitchen afterwards. We do everything for you. So that way we keep you healthy and we function with integrity. We make sure that we use, olive oil and oils that are good for you. We use very little dairy products. We barely use dairy. I think we only use dairy really in like a few meals out of the entire like database of meals, because we want to keep you healthy. And so, I think that it's a great option. And of course, I'm a little biased because it's my baby, but, I think that just meal prepping itself absolutely changed my life. When I was still a student in PA school, that's when I started meal prepping for myself. And I started losing weight slowly. But when I really got into meal prepping, I lost so much weight in so short of an amount of time. And now that I'm a little older, to me, weight loss is not necessarily my goal. My goal in life is to eat to live, literally, to not have to take medication and not have a preventable disease such as diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, all of which run in my family. And so my thing is, if I can stop it just by my nutrition, that's what I want to do. And that's what I want to spread the word. That is my passion. And that is why, I do what I do, because I just feel like so many people are misinformed. And, we just need to spread the information that you can live a healthy life based on your nutrition and exercise. It is possible. And you don't have to be super strict with it. You just have to be consistent. So that's what we do. KromahFit Meals, kromahfit.com. On Instagram is at KromahFit. Follow us. Even if you don't order something, just follow us for ideas, and we just love to spread the wealth and spread the health, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I am a customer of KromahFit Meals. They have saved me many a day when I was trying to eat healthy, but just didn't have it to
Yes.
do myself. And I follow your company and I see all the great things that you all do. You're
Thank
often
you.
donating food to people. I know people personally who have just received meals just because y'all cared.
Yeah.
I definitely know personally that you are very passionate about helping other people